born in the month of August 1835. I had 3 older brothers, Henry, Graham, and Arthur. My life while growing up was a pleasant one, playing with my brothers on the beaches surrounding Swansea, and swimming in the sea in the summer sun. My father was the industrialist John Henry Vivian, and he owned copper mining, copper smelting, and trading businesses in Swansea called Vivian Sons. I pursued my interest in art and went to Eton and later to Cambridge University. I studied hard, developing my knowledge of artists from the Renaissance painters to contemporary ceramics. I spent much of my time in the library. Books became my friends. When I was 19, I received a letter informing me that my father had passed away. I was devastated. I had to leave university and come home to Swansea for the funeral. I inherited a quarter of my father's copper business, but I chose to travel and pursue the arts. I remember going to China one year, as Kitty and I traipsed through the jungle, noting the huge variety of flowers, fauna, and native plants of all kinds. I paused to contemplate the beauty of my privileged position when a blasted monkey stole my hat. At the time it infuriated me so, but oh, how all memory becomes golden with time. After a close call on the mountainside, we traversed the peaks with ease, relishing in the spoils of youth. After much searching, I came across a cellar of fine antiquities. I haggled somewhat, always an eye on the balance book for the accounts back home. After agreeing on a price, I procured a vase, both delicate and divine. As always, I returned by boat to bring my prizes home. Back home, I set about filling the gardens and corridors full with treasures and trinkets I collected from around the world. I even had an opera box in my living room. La 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 la. This was the start of a lifelong passion for travel and collecting that would stay with me until the end. I travelled to Australia and New Zealand. I liked to meet the indigenous people from the countries I went to. I travelled to Africa. I saw lions and very angry birds. We travelled at night to avoid the heat, which mercilessly shone down on us during the day. Over time, I had acquired a tremendous wealth of cultural artifacts, from marbles, enamel watch faces, and the humble teapot, to intricate glassware and the finest porcelain. I visited the Americas and met the natives. I saw a breathtaking waterfall in China. I'll never forget it. It was one of my favourite places to visit. I travelled to Arabia, where I rode on a camel in the blazing heat of the desert sun. In Egypt, I saw the colossal constructs of times past, the pyramids and the Sphinx. When next I returned home, I had gathered a priceless collection of beautiful paintings. The modern boats by which I travelled had the unfortunate tendency to make me feel rather seasick, but it was always worth it to gaze upon these distant lands. These locomotive trains sped so very quickly through such beautiful landscape that I could scarcely drink in the bountiful countryside to its fullest. I much preferred the meandering pace of a stagecoach. Kitty from Lady Willoughby, from grand old Grinthorpe Hall, of all dogs most beloved by me, the pug most dear of all. Phyllis, a present from Phyllis Forbes, from the lost dog's last home. What dinners that fat dog absorbs, whene'er she likes she'll roam. In London her daughter, a little thing, Nanny was born, just as spotty, and a pug that sits by me as I sing, my wee, wee darling Dotty. In 1902, I was walking down Bond Street when suddenly there settled on my eyes a small misty cloud that became thicker and blacker and denser. As I amassed my collection in Sketty Hall in dear old Swansea, I pondered how best to display it in all its magnificence. I could still see the paintings on my wall, but that very often fades to black. When I was condemned to spend all my day in a darkened room, the thought came to me of sharing my art collection with Swansea and the world that had contributed to its making. With the gallery's construction underway, a home for my collection secured for future generations, I remembered the places I'd been and the wonderful sights that I'd seen. As the light grew dimmer and dimmer, still the memories grew brighter and more intense.